Hi, what's going on, trade engineers? In this video, I talked about how to install Sierra Chart on your MacBook using Crossover from CodeWeavers. But to give you an alternative, I want to show you how to install and use Sierra Chart on your MacBook using the Parallels program, right? And shout out to Greg for the comment or the question about this. And without all the extra lead up, let's just get right into it. All right, so the way that this is going to work is I've already installed everything on my MacBook and I recorded that. So I'm going to go over like the installation and all that stuff through the recording that I did, right? And then we can kind of see it on the MacBook. Now I'm on my PC right now for this recording, but I'm going to use TeamViewer to show everything on the MacBook. All right, so if that didn't make sense, you'll see how this is going to work as we get into it. So to get Parallels, what you'll do, Parallels is basically another virtual machine software that you can run other operating systems on your MacBook, right? For this, we're going to use Parallels Desktop, so make sure you go to Parallels Desktop for Mac. If you go to parallels.com and it doesn't take you to this window here, you just go into products and then for home, and then you got the home editions here, and you can just use Parallels Desktop for Mac, right? There's a Pro and all that other stuff, but we're just going to focus on this one right here, right? So if you click on that link, it'll take you to this page here to where you can either buy it now or you can try it. There's a 14-day free trial where you can try it out, but you get the full version of it for 14 days for free, right? And if you like it, you want to keep going with it, then you can purchase it. So to show you the pricing, let me just go in here to buy now, new license. And if you're getting this for the first time, it's going to cost you $100 basically for this. And here's all the specs that you get with this version of it. You really don't need all this other stuff just to run Sierra Chart. All you really need is Parallels Desktop. And if you have a Mac device with an M1 or probably even an M2 chip, here's this, some details about that right there versus what you get up here. So most Mac devices will have no problems working with Parallels. If you have a newer device, like within the last few years, you'll be perfectly fine with this and Sierra Chart. You don't have to worry about all of the specifications or anything like that, or the requirements. But if you have an older Mac, you can go to this page here, and I'll leave a link to this page in the description below, because it's you got to do some digging before you find it. Really, because most MacBooks or most Mac products will work just fine with Parallels. But here are the requirements to run Parallels on your Mac, right? So for the minimum requirements, a couple things I want to point out. Here's the processors that it recommends. You got your memory. You need at least 4 gigabytes of RAM. And then the storage, Parallels needs at least 600 megabytes of free space on your storage. And then it says for Windows, you want to have at least 16 gigabytes. So I would say you want to have at least 32 gigabytes of free space on your storage, right? And then here's the operating systems that you will need on your MacBook for it to work, right? And if you're curious about the system requirements for Sierra Chart, they're here. But if your system meets all of these requirements here, then you'll be just fine with Sierra Chart, right? All right, so let me switch over to my Mac. This is my setup here. It's actually, much more than I would need for just to run Parallels and Sierra Chart, but this is what I have, right? So I'm running the Monterey version, and then I have the early 2015 MacBook Pro, right? So this is actually a really old MacBook. And then you see I have the Core i5, then I got 16 gigabytes of RAM, which I upgraded that myself. And then for storage, I have a terabyte SSD. You see I have plenty of space, right? So that's just to give you like some insight on to what I'm running this on, so you can kind of use that as a comparison. So the way that I recommend doing it is just to go with the free version first. So let me go back to this other page and we'll go to try now, and then you'll download the free trial, right? All right, so to install Parallels, you'll do it just like you would install any other app or software for a MacBook. But what I forgot to record was the part when after you install Parallels, a window will pop up that asks if you want to go ahead and install Windows. And you can install Windows either through Parallels, that will install the latest version of Windows. There's another way to also do that. So if you go to open up Parallels in this control center page, you'll just click on the plus sign here, right? And if you have your own iOS or your own way of installing an operating system, you can do it through these options up here. But if you want to download it through Parallels, you can download Windows 11 through Parallels. And there's also other operating systems that you can download through Parallels, so you don't have to go to the source and get these operating systems, right? So I just wanted to point that part out. Now, here's the thing about Windows 11. I couldn't get it to work on this Windows 11. I tried it out, tried to install Sierra Chart on this Windows 11, and I couldn't get it to work. It was a problem with how it was trying to save the files. So I would just, Windows 11 is still new. I would give, at least a year before you even try to install or use Sierra Chart on Windows 11. Let Windows work out all the kinks. Let Sierra Chart catch up with their product so they can make sure it's compatible with Windows 11, right? I would give it at least a year and then try it out maybe in a virtual machine, and then using Parallels or using some other sort of virtual machine. And then if all of that works, then you can upgrade everything to Windows 11 if you want to. But for this, I'm going to be using Windows 10, and you can install Windows 10 using the method that I mentioned here in this video that you'll see popped up on the screen. Or the easiest way to do this is just to Google, there you go, Windows 10 download, right? And then you go through Microsoft's page, download Windows 10 disk image, right? And then you'll go ahead and download from here. All right. Once you got your Windows and you're ready to install, you can just start going through the process. And also for this, I'm going to get into this a little bit deeper later, but you don't need a product key in order to run Windows 10 on Parallels and to run Sierra Chart on top of Parallels. But if you want a product key and you want to get the full features and all that stuff of Windows, there's a cheap way of getting a product key that I verified that I'm going to, talk about a bit later, right? And I'm going to fast forward through this process so you don't have to sit through the whole thing. So once everything is installed, you'll get this installation complete window right here. There's a Windows license agreement that you just scroll down. You can read it if you want to, and you just accept it. Also, Parallels will probably want you to sign into your account. If you don't have one, you can just sign in with Google or one of these over here, or you can create an account, the regular way with your email and name and all that stuff. So you just go ahead and put all the information in, sign in. You still don't have to pay for it at this point. It's still free. You're still on a free trial until you're ready to pay for it. But just go ahead and do it, take care of all of that. All right, so one thing I want to mention real quick, if you install Parallels and you install Windows and then you get this page that comes up right here that says you're not connected to the internet, what you will want to do is you want to go up to this little icon right here, this little globe icon. You'll click on that, and then you want to make sure that you connect to your network. So basically what you're doing is you're telling Parallels which network adapter you want to use to connect to the internet, right? Sometimes it'll work automatically. Sometimes you got to tell it what to do. So once you do all that, then you'll be connected to the internet, and you'll know everything works successfully, installed successfully once you get this window right here that says Windows installed successfully. And if you want some more details, you can scroll down and get more details about whatever they want to tell you on this page here. So from that point, you shouldn't have to do anything else. Everything should be working and ready to go, right? You shouldn't have to install any extra tools or anything like that. There's an option to install Parallels tools, but you don't need to do that. And you can go ahead and start downloading and installing Sierra Chart. So you just go to Sierra Chart's download page, click on software download Sierra Chart. And it was running a little slow here because I was running multiple programs at the time to record and to download and all that stuff. And then once it's finished downloading, you just go show in folder. That's the way I do. I click on show in folder. You can actually install it from there. And you can install it. You can open up the installer, click on install, and just, make sure everything is working correctly. Once that's installed, you get the installation complete pop up, and you can close the Sierra Chart installation. Go ahead and sign into Sierra Chart. So once you're signed in to Sierra Chart, what I recommend you do is go to the server setting or the service settings, right? There's a shortcut there by default, right? Go to your trade service settings, and then I would make sure that you're, like, say you're using Rithmic or something. Let's say you have that data available. Every time when you're installing this for the first time and getting everything going for the first time, I would make sure that you're connected to SC data all, so you don't have any data limiting issues, right? And also, this is to make sure Sierra Chart downloads everything correctly and the installation went without any issues. So that's how you install it. Now, from there, you should be good to go. You can start trading and doing all your charting and all that stuff that you want to do, right? But if you want to bring over your Sierra Chart settings, let's say you've already been using Sierra Chart on another computer, on a PC, I'm going to switch off of this, and it's going to be easier for me just to show you than do it in the recording. So on the PC that you already have Sierra Chart installed and you've already been using Sierra Chart, if you want to bring all of those settings over, you'll go to wherever you have all those Sierra Chart files saved on your current PC, and the things that you want to look for to make sure that you have the right settings is you want to copy this .config. You'll also want to copy the accounts. You may also want to copy keyboard shortcuts if you set any shortcuts, right? You want to copy those over. So you want to copy all these files over to somewhere, either like using a thumb drive or a flash drive, or maybe using cloud storage like Google Drive, right? You want to copy all of these files over, right? Don't move them. Make sure you just copy them. And I would recommend doing it in an organized way so you know what goes where. So you may also want to go over to this data folder and then copy your chart books. And basically what I did is I copied everything except for the data, because I want Sierra Chart to bring fresh data in on that new Sierra Chart installation that I just installed in Parallels, right? And I put that into a Google Drive, and then I logged into the Google Drive over on my MacBook. So let me go back to the Mac. I'm gonna close this down right here. I don't need this one. And I have it installed on this one. So let me go ahead and open that up. Right. So every time while using a free trial, you'll get this window right here that reminds you that you're on your free trial and to go ahead and get you to buy. But if you're not ready to buy yet, you can go ahead and just click continue trial. All right. So now I'm on my MacBook. All right. So you have this folder over here called Mac Files. If you want to link any folders that you have on your MacBook to your Parallels, you'll need to do that first before anything will pop up here. So you just go to the top here. I got this in full screen. So let me see if I can, so you can see everything at one time. All right. So what you'll want to do is you want to come up here to your control panel. And this is a very important window. If you have any issues with your Parallels installation or whatever, you'll get a little icon that pops up there. I'll put a screenshot of what that looks like in the video, but you'll have a little icon that pops up there that'll tell you that you have an issue, and it'll tell you what the issue is and basically how to fix it, right? So you want to go to your, so back to this. If you want to share a folder between your Parallels and your MacBook, what you'll do is you go to this icon right here. And then to add a folder, you just go to add a folder. And then you'll select whatever folder that you want to add, right? So it's real simple, right? So what I did was I transferred all of those files over to my downloads folder. And then now I can access that folder either through here, or I can access it through here to this Mac Files, right? And then what I would do, let's see, let me go. I think I still have it up. I saved it as, SC data backup, right? So now that I have that up, let me open this PC up. Man, there's a lot of ways to get this done. This is just one of the ways that I do it. And then I'm gonna go to where Sierra Chart is installed on my C drive, Sierra Chart, right? And then I can just copy and paste everything that I want, all the settings that I want to transfer over into this new installation of Sierra Chart. Now, the one thing that I would recommend doing is the first 3 files that I mentioned, they will be already installed. Of course, those are like the default files that Sierra Chart puts on in the folder once it installs, right? So what I would do is I would go to each of those files that are already there, and I would put, instead of deleting those or having those removed once you transfer over the new files, I would put .backup or dot whatever. You can put whatever you want to put, but I would just add a new extension to it, just a random extension, so that I don't lose those files just in case I need to go back to them, right, if there's an issue. Okay, so if you want to go back to it, you just click on it, you'll change the name, and then you'll delete the extra extension that you added onto it, right? So I don't want to do that, so let me put that back, right? And so now Sierra Chart won't look at these files. It'll look at the files that I transferred over, so that it opens up the way that I have it on my PC that I've already been using Sierra Chart on. So let me go ahead and open up Sierra Chart. So once you do this for the first time, after you got all the settings and everything like you wanted to, what I would recommend to do, just to again make sure everything is cool before you start downloading things unnecessarily, is I would go to your data trade server settings, right? And I'll make sure that I'm using SC data all for this. And the reason why I want to check this is because once you transfer all of that stuff over, it's also going to transfer over the settings to this as well. You want to make sure Sierra chart works first before you start running into other issues, right? Because if you transfer this over, and let's just say for whatever reason you're on CQG data, and for whatever reason CQG data doesn't want to work, you can confuse yourself and thinking that it's a Sierra chart problem where it's really a CQG problem, right? So just to make sure that Sierra chart is working the way that it should, I would, the first time you do this, I would go ahead and use SC data all services first to make sure all your data in Sierra chart is working correctly. And then once I have verified that Sierra chart has installed correctly and it's working correctly, then you can go on to using whatever data that you want to use, right? Now, another thing that I want to point out here is you can see how this opened up like all zoomed in. So what you may have to do, let me close this down. You may have to change your display settings, right? And I'm gonna go to display settings so that, you know, everything looks better than how it looks all zoomed in right there. So one kind of hack that you can do is you can go back to your PC. So I'm gonna switch back over to my PC, right? And I'm gonna bring up the display settings on my PC. And I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna see what kind of display resolution that I'm using. You can use this as a sort of a reference to kind of guide you to where you want to be on your parallels, right? So now to set your display settings, you'll want to go up here to the buttons, your window buttons up here, and you want to click on the green one to enter into full screen, because if you don't, it's not going to maintain your display settings that you changed right here, your display resolution that you changed right here. So you'll open it up in full screen, and then you will go to the one that you want to choose. I'm going to choose 1920 by 1200, and I'm going to keep changes. And now once I open up Sierra chart, now it looks a little better, right? So I may have to make some adjustments, and I've been playing around with this, so it's not exactly to how I had it on my PC, but you get the point. That's what you would want to do, right? All right, so you're fully installed, and now you can start using Sierra chart however you want to do it. And there's really nothing else that you need to do from there to use Sierra chart on your MacBook through Parallels. Now, as you know, there's also another alternative. You can use Boot Camp. So let's say you're using Parallels and it's just not, you don't have the resources for Parallels to work efficiently on your MacBook. Another thing you can use is you can use Boot Camp. And Boot Camp is already a software or an app that's installed in your MacBook, or it should be anyway. You can probably, if it's not, you can probably find it in the Apple Store. But I will leave a video of how to install. I'm not going to do it on my computer. So the reason why you want to use Boot Camp over Parallels is Parallels is like a virtual machine that it runs on top of your Mac operating system. But with Boot Camp gives you another partition that you can boot the actual computer into another operating system. So for in this instance, that'll be Windows, right? So what you will have to do is you have to completely log out of your Mac operating system, like you're restarting your computer, and then you'll reboot into Windows. So once you reboot into Windows, all your resources will be dedicated to Windows, because you will only be running Windows and not Mac, right? I hope that makes sense. So what I do is I'll leave a link in the description to another video that will walk you through how to install Boot Camp and all the things about Boot Camp if you're interested in that, right? So Boot Camp, just to show you, it's already installed on your Mac, or it already should be installed in your Mac. You just go into the utilities, and there's your Boot Camp assistant right there. You know, you just open it up, and then you'll follow the steps. And there's also, you know, this Apple support link here that'll show you how to do all of that if you don't want to watch the video, right? So there's a lot of options if you want to use Boot Camp. Now, the last part of this that I want to talk about. So if you want to use an authenticated version of Windows, but you don't want to pay the full price for a product key from Windows, you have an option of getting a cheaper Windows key or Windows license than what Microsoft will charge you, right? So I got two links for you, two resources for you. One I have verified, the other one I'm going to verify later, and then I'll put it in the comments or the description somewhere if this one is actually how this one works. But the one I have verified is Premium CD Keys, and I'll leave a link in the description below. That will be an affiliate link, but it's not like I'm not getting paid a lot if you actually use my link. So I mean, but anyway, The link in the description will be an affiliate link. You can use it if you want to or not, or you can just type in premiumcdkeys.com and you can go to, I will go to software, and then whatever version of Windows you can purchase a cheap product key from them, and it should work. Now, if it doesn't work, I haven't had to use them yet, but they got a lot of positive reviews in terms of their customer service that'll help you out if you have an issue with the product key that you buy from them, right? The product key that I'm using now for on this Parallels, I got it from here, right? So another alternative, right, if you just like alternatives, is wholesalekeys.com. This one also has a lot of positive reviews. I haven't purchased a key from them as of yet, but you know, this is just another alternative, right? Now, what you want to be careful of is you want to make sure you type their name in right. If you're gonna, I'm gonna leave a link in the description. Of course, that's not an affiliate link; it's just a regular link. But if you want to type it in yourself, this is where you should be taken to. This is the logo and all that stuff. If they change their page by the time you see this, this is at least their logo. But what you want to do is make sure you type it in correctly, right? There for the word whole, there is no E. So that's the main thing you gotta be careful that you type in the right domain name if you want to purchase from them, right? If you want to use these guys, right? So again, you don't need a product license in order to be able to use Windows 10 or any other version of Windows. It'll still work. You just won't, you know, there'll be some limitations and you may miss out on some of the updates and stuff like that. But even I still get updates on the Windows 10 that I have installed that where I'm not using a product key. It's not an authentic version, right? I just have a couple of feature limitations, but I don't even really notice it because it's not that big of a, you know, because I don't need it, right? So the features that I'm missing, I don't even need because I'm just using Sierra Chart on them, right? So the last thing I'm going to mention in this, there was one issue that I ran into when I installed this for the first time and I was trying to just play around with it. I found this out with this replay chart, right? So when I copied all of my settings over on my regular PC that I copied the settings over from, I have this replay chart on another monitor, right? So when I tried to open up the replay window, I just couldn't see it. Like it was opening up somewhere and it wasn't coming up for me. So what I had to do is basically I had to reset this replay window. So if you run into an issue like that, specifically with the replay window, what you'll have to do is you'll have to reset the replay window. And the way that you'll go about doing that, so you'll go up here to chart, you'll go down here to replay chart, and then you'll look for reset replay chart control panel window, and you'll click on that right there. So that should bring up your replay mode, right? So that's been my experience so far using Sierra Chart through Parallels on my MacBook Pro. I haven't really had any major performance issues. I haven't seen any major performance issues using Sierra Chart, even though I'm using an older, you know, MacBook Pro, like I mentioned before. But you know, even my MacBook, you know, sometimes it does give me some performance issues where the fans start rolling and just off of running the lightest programs, or you know, it gets really hot or whatever. But you know, it starts to slow down and lag for whatever because it's an older version, it's an older MacBook Pro. But with Sierra Chart, that hasn't really caused me any issues as I've been using it and running replay and trading in sim and all that stuff through Parallels on the MacBook, right? So if you have any more questions, just go ahead and leave those in the comment section below. And if this was helpful, then go ahead and let me know by hitting the like button, and I'll see you on the next one. Trade it easy.